Wheeling, West Virginia is one of a kind, a city built on ingenuity, entrepreneurship, and determination. Walking through downtown is a snapshot of our city's history. The historic Wheeling Suspension Bridge, our impressive stock of historic architecture, and the beauty of the Ohio River give us so much to be proud of. But it's impossible to ignore the empty lots and lack of new construction that reminds us of more difficult times. Those of us who were here during those times can remember experiencing conflicting emotions as we watched our city decline, knowing that there was a community of caring people who deserved more. 20 years ago, the job of the CVB and our partners was difficult, knowing that our collective responsibility to revitalize downtown Wheeling required a bold and decisive action. Leveraging the assets that made us unique, we, as partners, decided to take on the challenge of bringing a beloved Wheeling building back for the public to enjoy. We all believed that if we worked together to create this space, that the public would embrace it. But after decades of disappointment, it needed to be seen before it was believed. Luckily, our partners were in a position to deliver, and together we embarked on a mission not just to restore a historic theater, but to rebuild the spirit of downtown Wheeling. We knew that if we brought our greatest asset back to the theater, that's its people, that we would have a winning endeavor. And over the next 2 decades, we saw this upward trajectory time and time again. We have many more people investing in small businesses. Downtown vacancy has been cut in half, and more buildings that have endured decades of neglect are being restored. Despite the progress we've made during the last 20 years, the gateway to our city has not matched the progress we've worked so hard for. We want those entering Wheeling to know that this is a place where the community is thriving, evolving, and worth exploring. And now it's time for history to repeat itself. The Wheeling, Ohio County Convention and Visitors Bureau, along with Wheeling Heritage, Ohio County, the City of Wheeling, and the Regional Economic Development Partnership have come together to create a new space that celebrates our past, embraces our present, and invites new people to learn what the friendly city is all about. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Wheeling Gateway conversation. My name is Frank O'Brien, and isn't this a grand place to talk about Wheeling's future, our Capitol Theater? Well, as they say, I guess we've got the band back together, and in a few moments I'll be talking about the stakeholders that are involved and the partners that we have. But it's the same group that was responsible for bringing the theater back to life is working on the Wheeling Gateway Center project as we speak. So I would like to take this opportunity first to thank some of the public officials that have played a key role in making sure that we're sticking to a timeline and possibly making sure that grants are approved. And we're going to start with Senator Joe Manchin. He's already provided this project with a $5 million earmark. We'd also like to thank Mary Jo Grudai for being here representing his office. Shelley Moore Capito is represented tonight by Jessica Cross. She's working on a $5 million earmark as well. Governor Jim Justice, real quick story. About a year and a half ago, maybe a little bit longer, Jim Justice was in town, the governor was, to dedicate the $200 million I-70 bridge project. And after he was done, we had made an appointment to speak with the governor, and we were promised 5 minutes. So he was walking to his truck, his SUV. He drives himself around as opposed to state police driving him around. And Robert Herron, and myself, we got to pitch the governor while he was sitting in the driver's seat about the Gateway Center project. Of course, we had some nice pamphlets to give him, some pictures. He looked it over and said to us, "I don't see why we shouldn't do this." And that's how it started, and now we've got our first installment on what we believe will be a substantial investment in the Gateway Center from the state, and we've received $2 million, slightly more than $2 million in an abandoned mine lands grant already in place. Key West Virginia strategic partners. From the very beginning, we approached the state of West Virginia and brought to them the attention which they already knew, that there are no welcome centers on Interstate 70, and that you really don't know that you're in West Virginia until you've already left it. So the welcome center that they're building 2 brand new ones down in Bluefield and one near Huntington. So I knew that they had some interest in creating some type of welcome facility. So we approached the tourism secretary, Chelsea Ruby, also pitched her, not as casually as we did with the governor. It was much more formal. But she understood what we were trying to do here and committed to helping us along with this project with some funding. Ennis Smith, her Director of Destination Development, as well as Harold Ward, he's the Secretary of Environmental Protection. Very key because the current structure Wheeling Inn has quite a bit of asbestos that needs to be abated. So we appealed to the EPA to assist us in getting that building remediated and then demoed. So without their help, we wouldn't be able to do that. So I thank the Key West Virginia strategy. Tourism is an economic driver for the state, and the 2022 numbers are just out of this world. For the first time, the state actually generated $7 billion in revenue directly related to tourism and the impact that's happening statewide. And that plays a big role right here in Ohio County with $388 million generated by visitors to the county alone. Obviously, that includes places like Ogilvy Resort, the Wheeling Island Racetrack, Casino, Culture and History, the Capitol Theater, West Banco Arena. It is driving people to the market, and there are tangible results being left on it. Right now, the Capitol Theater averages about 65,000 people are seeing shows here every year. And even if you take the lowest number, if 50,000 people are in your town, they're going to spend between $3 and $5 million. So if 60 or 65,000 people are coming here during the course of a year, let's say they're generating about $4 million in brand new economic impact. And the Capitol Theater is playing a significant role in generating that. 2,760 plus actually work in tourism. The numbers are just absolutely incredible, and that generates tax revenue, which articulates right back to the people that live here by reducing their tax liability for public service. Next slide, please. The West Virginia legislators, well, I'm thanking, they played a great role. Senator Weld, Senator Chapman, Delegate Sean Fluharty, Delegate Diana Winsenred, we really appreciate their help. Delegate Diana helped us get some work done with the Division of Transportation, because we're putting in vibration monitoring devices so that we can monitor any vibration that may go toward the suspension bridge when we're in the demo process. We don't want to damage the bridge, so we're doing a lot of preventative work to make sure that we don't. County Commission, wow, we couldn't do it without them as well. Zach Abraham, Don Nickerson, Randy Wharton, and County Administrator Randy Russell, thank you very much. City of Wheeling, great council, great mayor, vice mayor. They've done great work for us. They've supported us in this endeavor, and we're very appreciative. The Capitol Theater, just to bring you up to speed, we have a fly system that was built in 1928. It doesn't meet today's standards, so we worked really hard, and during the pandemic, the theater was shut down for 18 months. It lost a lot of preservation funds. It lost a lot of operating funds. So the city was able to, they received a COVID allowance, and so they gave us some money to replace the fly system. Pittsburgh Rigging is coming in tomorrow to measure it, and in July they're going to install a brand new fly system. So thank you very much, Wheeling City Council. Our team mission and vision from the very beginning, before we even considered purchasing the Wheeling Inn and moving forward with the Gateway, we wanted to come up with a vision and a mission. And we want to create generational change for the city of Wheeling through connectivity, innovative thinking, diverse perspectives, and shared heritage. We also want to advance economic transformation for the region through the development of a Wheeling Gateway Center so that we can create thriving waterfront experiences, unforgettable memories, and a genuine sense of belonging for both locals and visitors. To help us get there, we need some values: collaborate, comprehensive attitudes, communicative approaches, as well as creativity. The agenda, which we'll go through, I'm obviously doing the introduce the project stakeholders, so let's go to that point right now. And as they say, we got the band back together. Ohio County participated in the Capitol Theater rehab. City of Wheeling obviously did. Wheeling Heritage with Scott Schenderline and Regional Economic Development Partnership Group, Craig O'Leary, and then the CVB also involved. So it's with great pleasure that I introduce and bring up one of those partners to help us progress through this. And there's a lot of data coming up. We want you to try to absorb some of it, but thank you so much for coming. We appreciate it. Scott Schenderline, please. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Good evening. Thanks for being here tonight. We really appreciate it. I just know we've got to get through a lot of information, but I wanted to say a couple quick things about Frank O'Brien. I'm going to say all nice things, Frank, too, by the way. You saw in the video before that Frank was sitting in the seats there with Heidi Friend a long time ago about the Capitol Theater. And one of the things they said was, this is really hard, but it's the right thing to do. And we had that same conversation again in the past 2 years, and that's what brings us today. But this wouldn't be possible without Frank O'Brien. A lot of people wouldn't stick their neck out there and really take on this big project. So him, along with the CVB board and his staff at the CVB, we need to owe them a great debt of gratitude and a round of applause. Thank you, Frank. One of the biggest questions we get asked all the time, and we can move to the next slide, is why isn't the building on the ground yet? And I was one of those people that would ask that question too. You want things to move fast. However, there's a lot of things that had to be done and that are being done, and people don't see those every day as you drive by and the building's still standing there. So the first thing we did is hire Tipping Point, and I'll introduce Jim in a little bit here. Tipping Point is the project manager on this project, and we wouldn't have been able to do this without them. And so the Wheeling Heritage Foundation felt that it was money well spent to hire Tipping Point, and we're really happy. They've done a great job running this project so far, and couldn't be happier about that. Then obviously Frank talked about the Senator Mansion and how he helped us. We met with Mary Jo Guidi and Roseanne Farrow, and then Mrs. Mansion, and finally Senator Mansion helped us out with this $5 million earmark. And then environmental engineering was hired because there's a lot of environmental things we have to go through. And then architecture and engineering was released, so we had that to go through. More architecture and engineering was awarded in October of 2023. Environmental plan completed in December 2023. Then we launched a digital survey, which all of you will see the results of that tonight. It was really important for us to get your perspective, what you want to see, what visitors want to see. And so I think you'll be very excited to see what happened with all of that. And then, of course, geotechnical drilling, of course. We had to do that, too. So we're drilling and boring holes in the ground and all that. So it's a lot of things to do. And there's stuff being done all the time to try to move us ahead. We did a weekend traveler survey launch because we didn't want to just find out what the Wheeling community wanted, but what's the visitors? We're trying to drive visitors. That's what the tourism is all about. So we wanted to see what they wanted to do. The geotechnical work was completed in January. And then, of course, we had some collaboration on the bridge with the DOH. And then the remediation plan was approved. So, Mr. Heron, are you here? Is he here? So Mr. Heron has some things to announce about what's coming next.
Great. Thank you, Scott. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. I do want to recognize the city council members that are here with us tonight. Hopefully I don't miss anybody. Chad Thalman, Ty Thorngate, Rosemary Ketchum, Jerry Sklavonakis. Hopefully I got everybody. They've been very supportive of this project, and I'm pretty sure will continue to be as we move forward. Frank was right. When we met with the governor about a year and a half ago, he was very supportive of this project. And as a result, we did receive the $2 million grant a couple of weeks ago. But in addition to that, about 3 years ago, the West Virginia legislature set up a dilapidated building structure demolition program. And Erica Storch, who was not mentioned earlier, was a delegate at the time and was very supportive of that project. So as we've gone through this particular project, and prior to the CVB even buying the property, we had discussions with the West Virginia DEP about utilizing the West Virginia Dilapidated Structure Program for demolition. And the state of West Virginia, from the governor's office to the DEP, has been supportive of that from day one. And we're at the point right now where we're about 95% assured of the grant for the demolition and remediation of this building, which would be $1.2 million. So that would be on top of the $2 million that the state has already awarded, and we've got some other grants in the pipeline that the governor's office is working on as well. But right now, part of that process to actually receive those funds is to bid the project. And it currently is out to bid. The demolition and environmental remediation was published today. There's a pre-bid meeting on March 7th, and then demolition bids, which will include asbestos abatement and environmental remediation, will be due on March 22nd. The way the DLAP program is set up is the money has to go to municipalities or local governments in the state of West Virginia. So the city would be the recipient of the $1.2 million and they would administer the demolition and environmental remediation with the help of the team that's going to be introduced here shortly. I can tell you that the specifications are meticulous. They've taken into consideration all possible things that could happen, including to the bridge. So I'm very, very pleased with the work that's been done thus far and look forward to hopefully a successful bidding process and then being able to award this bid by City Council sometime in April or May. Thank you. Is that it?
Thank you, Mr. Herron. Appreciate all your help. We had some people here that are helping us out, the implementation team, and you're going to meet them. They're here in the theater today, and afterwards they'll be able to talk to them. These people with Desmond Architects and Environmental Standards and all the different businesses have helped us in furthering this project along. So they've been great to work with so far. We have a meeting once a month, and we go over everything, and they've been nothing but professional, and we can't say enough about them. So welcome to them, and please visit them in the theater and give them your thoughts. We'd appreciate the feedback. Right now, I'd like to introduce to you Jim Ambrose with Tipping Point. And as I said, he's been key in running this project, and he's going to run through all the survey results with you. And we appreciate you being here tonight. And so without further ado, Jim Ambrose.
Hello. Very nice to be here with everybody. Next slide, please. So at Tipping Point, our mission's simple. We just want to unlock a neighborhood's highest potential through commercial real estate development. We bring this diagram up every single time because traditionally this is how we see it happen. What intrigued us about this project and why we're so excited about it is the city, the CVB, Wheeling Heritage, Red, and Ohio County are super committed to building this development plan through the community, and that's exactly why we're here tonight. Once we go through all of the stuff that you guys provided us feedback on, we're going to take a deeper dive tonight on more themes and things that can help us better define what experiences you want to have on the site. We'll create a transformative vision through the architectural and the engineering team that you just saw. I'm leading this with my company, but this really is not possible with all of those team members. I'd like to bring out Alex, please, from Wheeling Heritage. She is one of the primary people I work with all the time. She's going to be helping me support tonight. We're going to be running around out here. Scott's going to be running around with me too to try to get you guys the mic so that you can express your ideas when we get into it. Next slide, please. So there is a live polling portion. This event, I want you to take your cell phones out. I want you to take your cell phones out, scan this QR code, and it will link your device to this presentation, and you'll be able to vote on different experiences and different things that we're going to be presenting to you tonight. I'd also like to say hi to everybody that's on the live stream right now. You can participate in this too. You obviously won't be able to scan the QR code, but you can go to also menti.com on your phone or even on your computer if you're live streaming it. And then you just have to enter this code, and this is for the people who scan the QR code as well. It's 717-6542. 717-6542. And as I'm going through the actual survey results, you'll see menti.com at the bottom like that. If you see this screen, that means that you're in. And that will be, well, not this screen, but you'll see that you're synced to the presentation. Next slide. Throughout the live polling part, if you get that error message, because we've flipped ahead and you didn't put your response in, just make sure you push go to the next slide and it'll sync you up with the right question. But like I said, we'll be running around trying to help people as we're doing this. So without further ado, we're going to get into the survey results. The other unique thing about this project is that we had an opportunity to launch what we're calling the Changemaker Hub through this project. It's a digital platform that's designed to try to get people the ability to have input, because in a lot of times with community meetings, they're always structured in times where families or people are busy with work and can't do them. So we wanted to make this as accessible as possible, and then use tonight to show what people said, and hopefully hear from those who weren't able to participate in the survey as well. The design team also has some paper surveys, so that if you aren't tech savvy or you don't have any access to digital things, you can fill them out, and we will include them in our final tallies for this. But the way we're going to break this down is just like this. There are different categories. You all responded to these, so without further ado, let's see how it went. So total participation, I think, broke records off the charts for anything we've ever seen before in survey. We had over 4,200 responses, and 61% of those were completed. We have the photo uploads that we gave everybody an opportunity to. People uploaded over 100 photos and liked the photos over 1,300 times, and provided individualized comments and contacts and inquiries to our website to tell us how we should build this thing. It was absolutely amazing. That alone generated over 119,000 unique data points. All of those data points are going to be incorporated as a foundation for design and engineering. And of all the respondents that we received, 71% were all local. So I think we're capturing it. The cool thing, though, is that most of the people who responded are people who lived over here for over 10 years, 82% of you. And this is a map of all of the people who responded from all over. So that other 30-ish% that you saw came from all over the country. So breaking down the demographics of how people responded, the highest demographic was the 31 to 50-year-old range, but 56% of everybody was under the age of 51. 61% were female. And one of the cool things about what we try to do, especially in a site that's meant to be a gateway and house a lot of visitors, Wheeling's the friendly city, right? So we want to be able to make sure that we're considering how people are going to get there and then how they want to walk through it. 90% of you said that, we're going to drive my car there. That's no surprise. But what's neat is that the third highest thing was people want to be able to access Wheeling from the riverfront and have boat landings. And so these are both locals and people who may want to visit the area. Some other things that we're going to certainly include that everybody was very, very sure to bring up are all the accessibility accommodations. And then when we had the open-ended responses, and this was the incredible part, many people, and it's not just a few, there was a lot of people who shared that whenever they have families with special needs, there aren't a lot of places where there are things like adult changing tables to be able to take care of their loved one who needs access to things like that. So, service animals, parking for those families who are managing disabilities. Those are really important things that could be easily overlooked. And we're so thankful that everybody shared them with us so that we can incorporate them into the design plan. So now, the fun part, what do you want? What do you want to do? No surprise here. 78% of the people want some sort of elevated food and beverage experience on the site, followed by outdoor recreation experiences. And ranking third was experiences around history as locals. Everybody wants to be able to immerse themselves in the history there. And we didn't show some things that really didn't even make the charts. That would be examples like apartments and things like that. So these were the top 5. So when we build these things, we're trying to think about generational change and transformative change. We need to we need to build for our children. And getting that demographic and getting that input is one of the most difficult things. In this particular survey, we had several hundred that we got out of the 4,000. So what we want to do is kind of break down what the under 18-year-old was interested in and what everybody else was, just to see what the results were. So in terms of uses, an 18-year-old, or 18 or under, is more interested than everybody else in having apartment rentals. It's the opposite of what the other demographic had said on this site, and they think that it should be complemented with hotels. From a leisure perspective, they're more likely to play sports than hike. They are on their way to becoming a foodie, though, and that's a good thing. The other surprising thing, well, or maybe not, is that the water features and the fountains was not as high of a priority for most of the broader community, whereas this is a trend that sort of elevated itself, as well as the dog park. They didn't really care about the viewing platform, but that's okay, because we're going to have visitors anyway. So when you look at all the demographics and where everybody has everything in common, the number one thing that everybody wants is connectivity to the trail and to the riverfront, followed by a complimentary restaurant and retail, and then finding a way to just spend time with friends and family. So this isn't going to be a transient site. We got to generate experiences that want to keep people there. And remember, go to menti.com 717-6542 if you have not. So some other uncovered insights, family-friendly amenities. The really cool one for us to see is the Wheeling's history and contribution specifically to American history. There's a lot I know that my friends that don't live here don't know about Wheeling, and I think that that is an opportunity. Local artist events. Again, the boating thing was a recurring theme. And then trying to find the right event type of space that isn't necessarily being offered in your existing stock that you have here. And so the theme of 250 to 350 capacity kind of came up a lot, and trying to have things like weddings here, which is great for any local economy. And so needless to say, we are aligned with how we're going to get history and connectivity to the trail. Both of those elements could be expensive, but 72% of the people said that it's worth connecting that site down to the trail. We have a 30-foot difference. That's not easy to do, to provide all the accessibility and the things that we need to be able to do that. And so how we prioritize Wheeling's history is something that we're going to definitively invest in, both from a design and a programming perspective. So how do you want to do history? Well, this is how everybody responded and ranked them. First was the exhibits interpreting the area. There's a lot of ways that could go. Special events and performances. 65% wants some touring programs and exhibits coming through. And then the others that fell were outdoor series and educational programming. We're going to take a deeper dive into all of these in the live polling section so you can help us understand what each of these things mean to you. But what's really important is that the region does not want to see this be a liability from an expense perspective for the year-over-year maintenance. Everybody wants us to be able to find a way to create complementary uses that will have financial sustainability for it. That's where you can have opportunities for the restaurants and the boutique hotels or the elevated retail kind of come out. But nobody's really interested in apartment rentals and office. Just so everyone knows, apartment rentals are the most fundable thing right now because there's a housing shortage nationwide. So that's not something, we're going to obviously try to look at it and see if it works, but that's obviously not something that people locally are really interested in. So the design team, full credit to Desmond and to Terry Cutright, they partner with West Virginia University Hospitality and those students, which is a different perspective of somebody who's constantly studying tourism and what they want to have happen to the area. So these are the results of what this group said that's specifically studying this. Everybody be willing to do a weekend getaway 2 to 5 times a year. People are willing to go 3 to 6 hours, 1 to 6. So, that's another positive statistic. And the interesting thing is that people want a hotel versus these other options, or an Airbnb. And then and this is an exercise we'll do together through the Mentimeter live polling, we gave everybody a chance to rank, not me, but the team, a chance to rank what they want to do whenever they're looking for a destination. And the interesting thing is that even as a younger demographic, people still want to see the physical landmarks. And so there's probably opportunities to be able to help them navigate how to do this here. And, again, the local history is just off the charts what people want. But then how do you want to do it? Everybody wants to kind of do it themselves. So it's important to have enticing things, I think, on the site that will hook them and encourage them to kind of go out and explore the city, which will further help your local economy. So we were like, okay, this is really interesting. How can we take this a step further and get the broader weekend travel? So the CVB invested in a targeted ad campaign where on social media we were targeting those younger demographics that were aligned with this from your competitor cities. And so this is what the results were. They're all 75% willing to drive 1 to 5 hours. 50 or 70 want to stay in that versus those other things overwhelmingly. And all of them want to learn about local history during their weekend trip, and half of them want to do it on a self-guided basis. Again, the trend's actually a little bit different here, where still dining is the #1 thing, but heritage and exploring the culture and the landmarks jumped up to second. And then, these other things were secondary. If you think about what locals said, they want to maximize the outdoors and those recreational experiences. So in a lot of ways, the themes are inverted to one another. But you all agree on these 2 things. So no matter what, we're gonna focus our energy and make sure that we create that experience that's universally accommodating for both the local and the visitor. So, next steps, we're gonna do the live polling of all of these themes. The live polling is gonna feature a lot of the photos that everybody uploaded. So we're gonna be talking about this through imagery rather than boring words and numbers that I gave you. And obviously Robert Herron, city manager, announced the remediation and demolition bid process. And then once we conclude this and we tabulate any other data points that we collect tonight, we're going to release all those to the public and onto the Changemaker site where you did the survey, so that you can see these data points in infinity while we're doing this process. Because we will create our design concepts to maximize your input into that, so that you can see how this feedback is really being incorporated into our plans. We'll budget it, and then our job, our final stage of this scope, is to try to figure out what the financial model and the capital structuring would be beyond what the regional partners have already established. So, without further ado, live polling is going to begin. I'm going to be running here up and down in case people have any comments or things as we're doing it. But please take out your device, sync to the phone, and I would like to introduce Olivia Littman from the Wheeling Convention Visitors Bureau. She's going to be our host during this experience. And then myself, Alex, and Scott are going to help with the microphones on the stage. Thank you all. It's a pleasure to be here with you. Wheeling is great.
All right, this is a fun. Wow, that was a great entrance.
Whoops.
We were too close. So this is the fun part. This is why you guys came, right? This is the community engagement. This is when you get to talk. You get to explain maybe what you chose during the survey, and then also we can all kind of learn a little bit more about it. I'm excited about it. I hope you are too. So I'm going to give you guys a couple more minutes to make sure that you are signed into the, what's it called, Jim?
Mentimeter.
Thank you. And then we're hoping the people that's on the live stream as well sign in. And in the meantime, I'd like to say a quick thank you to our board members that showed up. I saw quite a few board members of the Wheeling, Ohio County CVB, and I'd like to just say thank you. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for agreeing for us to make this, plunge again to economic development, and thanks for coming tonight. All right, what's first, Jim?
Well, we're going to pull up the live polling, and it looks like people are already watching and voting, so great job, everybody.
Oh, yeah, way to be ahead of the game. So we're going to need a couple more minutes to get some things in, but we're really excited to see so many people involved.
Looks like we have about 104 people, so whenever we go to other slides as we continue to do this, we'll make sure that everybody's getting an opportunity to respond.
I only thought about 60 people was here, so I'm pretty excited.
Oh, well, that's probably
moving
kudos
up.
to the live stream. Live streamers, thank you. Hi. Yes. Oh, well, that's only to help us with the funding of the project. So.
Thank you, Jackie. We appreciate your support so early on in this project.
Yeah, okay, so I just billed 100,000, thank you. We'll name something after you. Does anybody else need any help while I'm on the floor? This will be 2 seconds.
Raise your hand. He'll come around and help.
We can. Whenever she does the next slide, so on your device, it'll automatically change to the next slide. Go to the next slide, please.
Yes. Ooh, are you from Wheeling?
Yep. So all you have to do is hit that and submit. I'll have to give it to you after. I don't have it right now. I'm sorry.
We'll give it a couple minutes, and let's see what the results say here.
Everybody's way. Please just raise your hand if you need help. Well, at least we confirmed everybody's from Wheeling.
Did you see who's moving? Somebody's moving here from Wheeling stuff?
I might know who that is.
Oh. You guys do know that eventually we're going to talk, right? It's really quiet in here. It makes me extremely nervous.
Everybody good?
Yeah, I think we should move on.
Yeah.
Oh, good question.
Is this important?
Who wants to see this building down? I'd like a round of applause for that. It's the one question that we've been asked since we made it public that we bought the building in February of 2023 is when is it coming down? So this should be exciting. Ooh, look at this slide. So this is all the pictures that people were inspired by when they filled out their survey. These are the pictures that people submitted to talk about what they would like to see in this gateway of our city. So I'm seeing some really cool things.
It's pretty neat whenever you start mapping them all together and you start to really visualize the space.
Some of them's really fancy. Is that the suspension bridge down there at the bottom?
Yeah, it's inspirational.
Very nice. Okay, so we're also going to take this, the next slide's going to be some of the top ones.
Nope, this is going to be, if you have one way to describe how you feel about this project, what would it be? This is where we get very emotional and excited.
Yeah, think of that word. Overdue is a good one. Well, look at hope. Hope is pretty common in the room, and that to me says a lot about our city. I mean, this is a time that we should all be celebrating. We should be excited about how hopeful we are that all of these changes are going to be for the good. Progress. I don't see any dirty words in there, which is kind of
Not yet, at
disappointing.
least. The bigger the word, the more recurring it is as a theme.
And look, everybody has great spelling as well. My word would be completely misspelled.
Well, this is cool. And the thing is that these are all going to inspire us each step of the way when we're designing.
I see the word frustrated. It'd be nice to know a little bit more about that feeling.
Yeah, who would like to tell me that? I'll give you the mic. No?
I can't see who may be raising their hand.
Oh, okay. Here you go. Oh, somebody said frustrated, and so we were wondering what you were frustrated about. Yeah.
Okay, in the paper it said something about an 80-room hotel, and a lot of people that I know have been asking about, is that part of the plan, or, so could you comment on the mix of that, or where that comes out in anything?
Well, I don't want to speak on behalf of the CVB, but I believe that was just a typo. Whenever the AML grant was awarded, they had specified that there was going to be an 80-room economy hotel. That was nothing we had ever discussed. We're building our plan off of this engagement. So I think that that was speculation, but it's not necessarily what it would be. As you saw with our slides, we're trying to prioritize the maximum experiences of the community wants first, and then we'll solve for other complementary uses. I mean, maybe a hotel does make sense. I don't know if it's 80 rooms. So it's not a condition of getting the money? No.
I can tell you that when we brought this to our board of directors, we were pretty surprised how many people responded that they'd like to see a hotel in downtown. We're underserved currently with the amount of activity that we have downtown and the places to put them. So that was exciting to see from a lot of the survey as well as from just people locally talking about it.
Why don't we go to the next slide?
Oh, outdoor and riverfront. This is something that came up a lot during the survey, but what does that mean? What does it mean to be, on the river? It was kind of funny the day that we all went to do a tour with the people that wanted to come up and bid for the architects and the design team. And we were saying, you can get down to the river. And then we realized, actually, you can't. You can't get down the river unless you're at the waterfront or you walk up to North Wheeling. Those are the two access points. So that was something even that was something that I hadn't thought about in a long time. So let's move on. In order of your top priority, rank your favorite experiences. So on there, let's go ahead and rank what you think is a priority to you, and then we'll kind of discuss them. Is it connectivity to the river? Is it areas for kids? I'd be okay with that, as long as I can drop them off. No, I'm joking. Biking, walking, or maybe you have another idea. Go ahead and put other, and we'll get to talk about it.
And on your device, you can just simply click each one, and it'll automatically put it up as your number one choice. You don't have to click and drag if you're trying to do that. It's a little bit simpler if you just push it. And so what this software is doing is it's automatically averaging out everybody's preferences and rankings so that we can kind of get a collective of what the largest priorities are.
I'm liking where this is going so far. Has anyone ever been on the roof of the Wheeling Inn currently? I have, and it had the most amazing view of the river I've ever seen. And I really like the idea, number one. All right, we're getting close to discussion. We'll give a couple more minutes. Go ahead and finish up your ranking, and then if anybody would like to talk about why they picked that priority, Raise your hand. Jim, Alex, you guys
We're
ready?
ready. I'll go on this side of the room.
All right. Just a few more and we'll start talking. So it says, of course, number 1 is mini viewing and rooftop decks. What's that mean? Did anybody pick that as number 1 and wants to talk about it? I'm going to call on somebody if I can see you.
We have one over here.
Oh, good. Thanks, Alex.
Good evening.
Hi.
Yes, I've been on top of the Wheeling Inn. My family used to own it. And so it is a spectacular view. And with the bridge being redone, I think it's a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, how about connectivity to the river? Quite a few people thought that was a great priority in terms of this project. And biking and walking is fairly similar. So anybody want to share? And then we're going to get you to those that picked other, because I want to hear what the ideas are. Right here in front. Thanks, Alex.
Pass it down. Well, Wheeling has a unique access to the river that I don't think we fully utilize. We do have summer concerts down there and some festivals during the winter, but to be able to connect the city more with the river, I personally voted for walking and biking because the bike trail is so important to the city too. It's, I think just we want to tie together with the river as much as we can.
I agree with you. Go ahead.
Hey, born and raised here, and for my whole life here, we have historically never used that riverfront like we should. I've lived in a lot of other areas of the country, and when they have a riverfront or an oceanfront or any kind of a pond, I mean, they build everything around that, and everybody's drawn to that, and we don't use that here. I mean, we have Heritage Port, but even that's limited in what it can do when it floods, and it's not a floating dock, so you have a hard time landing anything there. And I think we need to use what we have. I mean, it's an excellent spot to hang out and walk beside and do everything else beside. But for some reason, Wheeling has never shined that light on that riverfront like we should.
Maybe until now, right?
Hi.
Thank you.
Hi.
Connectivity to the river means two things to me. Number one is the physical location next to the river and the actual water. But the second and probably the most important one to me is to our history and the cultural aspect of it. If we look at our history, I mean, this riverfront was a major boat building center. It was a major connection with the rest of the country and major trade route. That's not something, that's not really a connection that I've seen made in this whole thing. I do not think that we put enough relevance to that part of our history. The actual boat building, the rafting down the river, the commerce that went with that, the amazing flat boats that were built here, the engines that were built here to power those, and the innovation that came with that drove our economic engine. And I believe that that is a major opportunity for us to highlight that portion of our history that has not been done before. So that's how I see the connectivity with the river, more so than just the water being there physically, is that connection to our history. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. That's a really nice points to make. Okay, and now I would like somebody in the audience. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
If anybody has been to the Skylon Tower in Toronto, Canada, I could visualize elevators, glass, so they can visualize the river as they would transgender from the top to the bottom.
Oh, that sounds nice. Okay, who picked
That's a
other?
wonderful idea.
Who picked other? We got to know what some ideas are.
Oh, all right, got behind me.
Hi, yeah, I think actually all of these are fantastic ideas. I prioritized other to the top because I feel like, this is our one chance to welcome people to the friendly city. I mean, we have I-70 right next door, and you can see it as you come into the city. Very few cities have this wow factor. I can think of Pittsburgh. You drive through the tunnel, you come out of the tunnel, and Pittsburgh just hits you in the face. You know, this is our chance to hit people in the face. Light it up, make it as grand as we can make it and as inviting to the eye as we can, and then incorporate the rest of these ideas into it as well. So I think we really need to make it very, very welcoming, and this is our chance to invite people to our city.
I love it. Let's hit people in the face. Let's just do it. No, I appreciate those comments because I agree with you. This is our time. We've always talked in the last, I've been with the CVB for 16 years, and gateway is something that's always been discussed. And planting flowers, cleaning up like the parks and things like that has always been nice. But this is truly our time to shine. So it's truly time to create a gateway. And thank you for sharing. All right, let's move on.
We got two more.
Oh, two? Okay. I can't see up here, sorry.
I just am thinking about the purpose from the start, and that I'm glad you talked about gateway, because it's the bridge. The bridge, the bridge, the bridge, the bridge, the bridge is the gateway. It's the star of the show, so to speak. So when I filled out the survey, some of the comments that I added was that whatever building or structure would be created, that we would give the bridge the breathing space, physical space, so that it's sort of the star, and that there's not a building that's too close in where it's physically placed, and that it would be that the building itself would always be secondary to the bridge, to the views, to the physical connection, obviously down to the trail and the river. I think is really key in terms of this location in the context of the place, but in terms of respecting the bridge, which has literally been hidden of sorts for all these years because of the hotel, I guess is what we'll call it, has been in that proximity for so long, obstructing our ability to actually view the gateway. So if we can build a building that is away from the bridge, that would be, I think, a better placement, just so that there's open space so that everyone can appreciate the bridge structure itself. Thanks.
Thank you. And have you guys seen it lately? All lit up at night? It's absolutely stunning. One more?
My experience, I'm 70 years old, growing up in Wheeling, it was so exciting to shop in downtown Wheeling. And I'm surprised that more people didn't say shopping, because we're trying to encourage the restaurants, but people have to have something to do. The center market, the younger people think, is downtown, including my daughter. She said, how can you post things on TV where there's nowhere to shop downtown? And I said, well, you don't even know what downtown is. So I just think that if we're encouraging people with these apartments to live downtown, I know me personally, I don't want to go to the mall for a pair of socks or a pair of underwear every day. It's nice to have some shopping. For the people in the towers, we need a pharmacy, we need a little grocery store, but it would be nice to have some little shops for clothing and things like that, for people that can't always make it to the mall. We're not trying to take away from the mall, we're just trying to add to downtown Wheeling.
Love that comment. I love to shop, so,
We'll do one more.
Okay.
And then we'll go we have 4 more categories, so.
Oh, we got to keep it moving.
I'll make it quick. I would just like to see a little bit of a convention center there. I know a lot of businesses have conventions all over the country, and our state ranks near the bottom, if not the bottom, and as far as venture capital goes. And it would be nice to have some people from out of town come to the area, see how good our area is, and maybe invest in our area. I think it would go a long way. So just a place for people to meet.
Great. Love that idea. Thank you.
We have one more, real quick.
You do?
I'll make it quick. This is kind of like in the other categories / river. I grew up here as well and have also lived around other thriving cities on water. And I remember we used to have regattas here, and we used to be able to take our boats up to the waterfront to listen to live music. And I don't know if anybody remembers the river raft races that used to happen on the river. And some other things that happen in other cities, like I know it's cold here, but at Christmas time, we do boat light parades. And that's like everybody comes out. And there's food vendors and just all kinds of things. I don't know. I guess it's in the fun category.
We like fun.
Yeah, well, and like, I see there's more and more people here who like to ride bicycles. And I know that downtown right now isn't an ideal place, but where I live now, we have bicycle parades all the time, like springtime parades where people get all dressed up, and it's really festive, and it brings a lot of business to the downtown area. They do it for all the holidays. Yeah, stuff like that, like Christmas time, like a lot of the places I've lived, they do it for charity where, for instance, take, for example, North or Victoria and Wheeling or Elm Grove or whatever, Warwood, you would send out, what are they called? Farolitos, not Farolitos, the paper bags with the lights at Christmas. The lanterns.
Those are against fire code. Found that out in 2008. just
Oh,
so you
okay.
know.
Scratch that. Anyway, yeah, that's just some things.
Well, it sounds like you really want to create a sense of community. You want a place where people can gather, not just corporately, not just to live, not just to stay, but really create a spot that you're proud of, right? That's what we're here for. Let's move on. Ooh, open comments.
No, that's what we just did.
Oh, okay, let's keep going. Oh, this is a heritage and the experience. So this is going to talk about what the history is, what the heritage of the area is, and how do you want that really communicated in this space. All right, this is a priority one again.
And keep in mind, there's no right or wrong answer here. All these things are important. It's just about how we focus, because there's only so much space on the site. So what do we prioritize to make sure we hit those things and knock it out of the park, and then try to see what we can do about everything else?
Yeah, so what ways do you wish to experience history and heritage? Educational programming, outdoor series, physical exhibits, artifacts, itinerary for self-guided tours. Now I got all lost. Digital, virtual, augmented reality.
Got an interesting little race going here.
I know. Keep it up, guys. Who's going to win? No, I'm joking. There's no wrong or right answer. So, I tell you how I learned about history. There's two people in this room that taught me more about Wheeling history than I've ever known in my entire life, and that'd be Gene Finstein and Jay Frey. Thank you.
And all these mean different things to different people. I'm so curious to how people interpret each of these rankings.
I know, I'm kind of interested to see what is an outdoor series? Is it like live action type of reenactments?
Maybe, sign me up.
I don't know, have you ever been to the Fort Henry days? It's really exciting, but it's kind of scary.
Okay.
All right, let's talk about it. Who wants to go first?
Who said other?
Maybe that was on the live stream.
We got one here.
So I've lived here my whole life and probably haven't appreciated the history and heritage more than today. And I think when you look at all the things that we have, I think the special events, performances, maybe even the outdoor series, it'd be really nice to incorporate Towngate and the people that are interested in theater in the community. So that'd be a great way to encourage engagement.
I mean, we are known here in our county, especially for our public schools, for the arts. And there's so many kids in our school systems that's looking for a way to kind of, release that talent they have. So why not? Anybody else? Anybody want to talk about it? Jackie. Jim, in the front. Jackie.
Oh, sorry.
Jackie is a wonderful board member for the Wheeling County CVB.
I think that a lot of these are interesting, and I think that all of our ideas are wonderful, but I think if we want to really showcase Wheeling, we need to do these things maybe in a different manner than a lot of people do. So maybe getting our history, which is amazing. I love the boat idea. That hasn't come up, but I loved it. And using augmented reality, although a lot of people, hiss AI and what have you, but it can be done really cool. I know DC has done where you can walk in and see the person there talking to you. So a self-guided tour could be blended with something like that. I think that what we need to do is find a niche that makes us different and make us the place to want to go. So I think incorporating these things in a way that is new and innovative is going to really make a difference for us.
And it's really the direction that everything's going. So why not start with it?
We got another.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, this thing on. I'm interested, as a person who's interested in Wheeling history, to see the stuff is first in the ranking. But in the world of museum creation today, when we did some field work before the current process was underway for the Gateway Center, we got a lot of feedback from people in museums: don't be a prisoner of the stuff. So Jackie's comments resonate very strongly with me that, well, let me just give you an example. This was a Disney experience for me. So a couple of years ago, we went over to Mount Vernon. I hadn't been there since they've built the education center and the museum. So there's a lot more to see and do than there used to be. So we literally got pushed into the theater by a docent who said, "You've got to see this." So it was, how many of you have been there and know what I'm talking about, what my punchline's going to be? Okay, so the theater darkens. We didn't have popcorn like tonight. And
sorry.
Yeah, and it was Washington at Valley Forge. That was the movie. And when the cannon was fired, your seat rumbled. Now, we all remember that image of Washington at Valley Forge praying, kneeling and praying, and the snow's, up to his knees, and it's snowing. And, well, by God, snow came out of the ceiling in the theater. And it got cold in the theater. That's what we need to do. You want to see Betty Zane run across Main Street with powder in her apron? With technology, we could make that happen.
I love it.
Can she have a little red flip? Shut up, fool.
Thank you so much. That's awesome. Here you go, sir.
Let's see if we can put all 7 of those in one category, one solution. Humor me. Can you imagine a traditional Batao trading canoe being built on site live in the traditional way, followed by a launching, followed by a trip down the Ohio and the Mississippi River with big fanfare, only to have the same cycle repeat over and over again? We can incorporate all of those. It's a physical artifact that you can look at. It's also a special event. It's also a self-guided tour. You can show yourself, if nobody's actually working on it, what's actually happening. It is nothing but educational. And I think we can put a lot of things together that way. And it is that's something you don't see often and don't see everywhere. And it is very particular to our culture and our history right here on this very spot. Now you can stop humoring me. Thank you.
I loved it. And you know what? The last 2 comments is exactly what a community session is all about. This is where you start having these ideas and everybody kind of says, oh, that would be a great idea. So let's make it happen.
This is the history section. Here we go. Another one.
Well, it's really more of a question I have. We're talking about the costs and funding of the development of this gateway area. But then how is this in these programs we're talking about incorporating, how is that sustained? Where is the operating budget? Or because you can build the structure, but if you don't have the funding or a revenue source to maintain these and develop programs on an ongoing basis, you've just created a shell of something, but it's not going to. It's not going to evolve into something that's really going to be a continuing asset.
You're exactly right. That's why sustainability is part of the mission of this project.
I think it's the way we go about creating these activities where maybe Girl Scout groups are coming and paying and school groups are coming and paying. And, you know, I mean, so there's a lot of way to create that revenue if you have a program that's unique and different and educational. There's so many things that you can do to be able to get funding for those programs and get things rolling like that. So I could see that it could very easily be a revenue generating operation.
I guess I just didn't want to lose sight of that, or to have some appreciation of what the ongoing, we have to make it a living, breathing thing. It's got to be able to change, but that requires a cash flow or a revenue flow to develop programs on an ongoing basis.
Agreed.
That type of thing. Sustainability, right, thank you.
And that's part of what our challenge is. We want to define these because we're going to, that's part of our financial modeling. So do we need to introduce other things that generate high revenue at a consistent rate to basically subsidize these things so that it's not an additional tax or anything like that? That's like the number one priority of our scope, is to try to solve for that.
And also being something that helps revitalize our downtown area by bringing people to it and sustaining those restaurants and those other activities that people want to visit downtown Wheeling. Yeah.
Right
I
behind
agree.
you, Jim. On the other side.
Oh, right here.
You guys can be next.
Just a comment, not a how-to. We see up on the screen now, history and heritage. I haven't heard, and knowing earlier that people get here primarily by car, they're still going to be getting here primarily by car. I think we would be remiss to omit the role that the National Road had to play in the development of Wheeling, and how central that is not only to our history, but to our ongoing viability. It's right here.
A lot of people forget that we are a national heritage area. We're one of how many, Alex, in the country?
62.
62. That's something to be proud of, and you're right, sir. We can't forget about it. Anybody else before we move on to the next slide? Oh, quite a few.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, hello? You know, these are all great ideas, the riverfront. We talk about entertainment on the riverfront. We already have the Heritage Port. We have that there. One thing we don't have in Wheeling are hotel rooms, convention space. We have to bring people to downtown Wheeling. We talk about restaurants, we talk about shopping, we talk about sustainability. Feet on the ground is the answer. 80-room, 100-room hotel, convention center. That's what we need. We need people in downtown Wheeling. These are all great, and you could have all these things, but you gotta have the people in the rooms, and you gotta have the revenue. And once you have those people, you'll have people taking tours, making the trips. But if you don't have large amount of housing in downtown Wheeling, an 80, 100 room hotel, people are going to come, they'll stay in St. Clairsville. They'll come to a hockey game, they stay in St. Clairsville. They'll come to a concert, they'll stay at the Highlands. They'll come to something else, they stay at the Hampton Inn on National Road. If they're not staying in downtown Wheeling, they're not spending their money in downtown Wheeling. I think you have to have that anchor, and that anchor has got to be feet on the ground.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
I have one here.
There's a lot of things we can talk about, and hotels is one of them, and all these other things, but I think we need to get back to concentrating on the site that's going to get tore down, and to build that up and let that start trickling the rest of town. Because we can't do the convention center, maybe it could be in this new building up there, and a restaurant maybe on the roof and all that kind of stuff. But I think if we really get it anchored there and get started, then we'll know exactly what we need. We just can't do it all at once, because by that time, the rest of the town ought to be in pretty good shape with the roads and whatnot. But we got to get back on what we're really here for, and that's the actual site by the suspension bridge and how we're going to develop it and what all we can do. We need to make it big enough where we can start things for and then grow upon all that.
Good point, good point. So you're ready for action, right?
Let's go to the next category. I think this is perfect tie-in.
Architecture and design. What's this gonna look like? Is it one of those?
Go back real quick. One of the things that we found interesting about the survey, and a lot of people weighed in on the design aesthetics of this. And so to me, and when we approach how to create something that everybody's proud of, this is a very important slide because there's no right or wrong answer. All these aesthetics are cool, but it's more about what you want to be looking at in your community for a long time.
And what's gonna catch your eye as a visitor coming in?
Right, especially off of I-70.
Right. Okay, so here's top priority. What materials do you prefer? Glass, steel, wood, concrete, brick, or other? I am definitely going to ask what other may mean. I feel like we're waiting for the big bad wolf.
So I was just thinking I should have put straw as one of the options. Okay.
All right, we're going to wait just a few more minutes. Not everybody's weighed in yet, and then we'll get to talking.
Glass is running away with it.
It can be shiny. It would be beautiful. Okay, since glass is so far in the lead right now, who would like to talk about why they chose that? We already heard some comments in regards to the reflection of the river.
Hi, I'm originally from St. Pete, Florida, and they redid the Salvador Dali Museum down there with its uniquely shaped glass and building material, but it stands out as part of the exhibit, but also as a sense of reflecting the type of museum it is. And I just think you have a lot of opportunity with glass and some of these others to combine materials and make it unique.
Not to mention, there's a lot of our history is centered around glass and the production here, as well as steel.
I'll get that. One over here, two. Here you go.
Some more down here.
We've talked a lot about the history we have and the beautiful architecture we have, so I would like to see brick, but to make it look more modern, to kind of incorporate glass with that. Plus the fact that it might give it a more open look, that it can view it's not a solid wall that we're looking through to see the river. We can kind of, from the street, still see the river, but I still like to see some traditional architecture go into it, hence brick.
Nice, thanks. Thanks for sharing. Anybody else?
Yes, sir.
I would only like to see, I wonder if the base of the building, there could be a part of the building that picks up the rusticated stonework of the piers to the suspension bridge, the tower's suspension bridge, hold up the bridge itself. If there was some reference to that in the building material of this visitor center, maybe just a small part of it, but you know, you tie them two together, I think it'd be kind of neat.
Good idea.
It's a good idea. Oh, well, hold on. We got two over here. 1, 2, 3. We got 4. You go fourth. Oh, yeah. I'll grab you next.
Okay. Hey, Olivia. I think I picked other. I don't know if we're to other yet, but I picked other because we have in our community East Coast Metal Systems, which is a manufacturer of metal panels. which are similar to the exterior of Zambito's office. They did, East Coast was the contractor that installed those on Zambito's office, and their parent company is Cow Cruth Roofing and Sheet Metal, which is traditionally and historically within the top 10 roofing companies in the country. So I think they could bring, really cool composite metal panel system to that. So that's why I picked other.
Thanks for sharing, Erica.
We got one right here.
Let's not forget that this is the home of Wheeling Steel. So I think steel is incredibly important, not as a primary material, but there has to be some way to pay tribute to the steel community and all that it stood for, even if it's in a very minor way, but don't exclude steel.
Good point.
Thank you. Steel construction.
I wouldn't know if that's a good thing or bad thing. So.
I like all the suggestions are great. I want something that fits, though. I mean, on one hand, it needs to stand out, but on the other hand, I also want something that fits. I don't want to get off the bridge and look at something that is just so glaringly sticking out that it just doesn't fit into the rest of downtown Wheeling. I mean, West Banco is kind of a cool building, but it is not the prettiest building in downtown Wheeling, and it just sticks out in such a way that just is it fits now because we've been looking at it for so long. But I would like to see some glass, but I like that idea of that suspension bridge thing, like at the bottom, and then fit some glass, so that it does stand out, but it still fits into the downtown Wheeling, and it doesn't stand out so glaringly obvious in front of the suspension bridge, like when Wendy was talking about giving the bridge its due as well. It would just be nice to see something that fits right there.
I can understand that. I'm usually somebody that doesn't fit in most rooms, so I like to see people press the elements of design too. So I think there's going to be so many people that wants to work on this project, it's just going to blow everybody's socks away.
We got another. 2 more.
3 more. 4 more.
Well, when I think of the glass, I think of that on the river side of the building, so there would be a vista and a view that you could see it. But I guess one of my major concerns would be something that's too modern looking, that will look dated in 20 years. I mean, I think we can all think of houses and stuff like that. That was a house that was built in the 60s. It's something that's that. So I guess I would lean towards the traditional, even bringing architectural elements that were maybe part of our Victorian heritage to bring that to play. And that's why I thought of the wood and brick, because those were substantially the building materials of Wheeling in years past, that our buildings that we really still cherish today use those type of building materials. So I guess, again, I would repeat myself and say something traditional, something that won't get dated looking, even though it looks cool now, will look cool 20 years from now.
I like it.
We have one more back here.
Yeah, so based on the comments that had been made about the history of Wheeling and the steel history that we have, we currently own a building on the corner, and glass is an absolute nightmare. I mean, just off the interstate, the maintenance is incredible, and it's always dirty. So just a heads up for that. But the brick and the steel, when you come off the interstate, based on what we have in downtown Wheeling, which was warehousing, right? We were, to Sarah's point, we were riverboat traffic, we were warehousing, the Staley building, the Oric building. I mean, when they brought those things back, they're modern, but they're brick, they're steel, they're wood, and it kind of fits the history of Wheeling. I think something with those types of building materials, of course, it could be composite materials from East Coast Metals, because they can make it look like anything you want. The great thing about East Coast Metals is they're very creative. So something like that would be modern in building materials, but old school in looking when you get off the interstate, because that was Wheeling, Marsh Wheeling Stogie building. When you get off, it was manufacturing and warehousing. That's what we had.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else?
Yeah, one thought, not to
advocate a hodgepodge of every building material around, but it is an interesting thought that how much Wheeling has a history, big history, in those materials. So I guess it's the architect's challenge, but I think it would be really interesting to be able to highlight in various ways those materials and what it meant to, you know, the history and the economic, you know, good stuff for Wheeling.
Seems to be a little theme going on here.
I have a comment over here.
I just wanted to caution everyone, you don't need eye-catching. You have the suspension bridge. Name me another icon for a city outside of St. Louis, the Arch on I-70. Why build something that would block that? Complement it, don't block it.
I like that. Compliment it. Culinary and bar experience.
Second to last.
The best part, really. So, are these pictures, Jim, that came online for inspiration?
All these are from what people have uploaded, so this is people talking.
Very nice. All right, let's get to the next slide. In order of your top priority, what kind of culinary/bar experiences do you want to see? Grab and go, fast, casual, food hall, bar, farm to table, food, cocktails, international cuisine options, fine dining, and other.
And remember, there's no wrong answer.
Right.
But this is an important theme to play off of what the other person said, is that if you're going to attract people downtown, they got to have amenities. So this would be a key one. And just to give everyone a time check, we said the program would end at 7:30. It is now 7:23, so we'll hopefully we could we'll take a few comments for this one and we'll get to the last one and then go to the after party. And we can keep talking. We're going to have
Speaking
our
of
whole entire
bar
design team.
experiences, the after party is going to be at the Bridge Tavern.
Yeah, and members of the project team and the design team are all going to be present so that we can continue to have these conversations and take notes and make sure that we're prioritizing the best things. Good luck, design team. All right.
All right, does anybody want to start? We've got a lot here for the farm to table food and cocktails.
All right, right there.
Anybody? We'll just take a few.
I would just say that I find it interesting that the fourth and fifth options up there are actually two that we have the least amount of. I would say we absolutely need more fine dining and international cuisine options around here.
That is interesting.
What kind of international cuisine?
What kind? Indian Thai food, Indian ramen. All sorts. Indian, Thai.
Smoothies. Vegan. Hawaiian barbecue. We can go. Yeah.
Everybody loves food, right? Good. Anybody else? We're going to take two more.
I have one. I don't know if anyone understands the whole concept of a food hall, but if you've ever been to Charlotte and you go to Optimus Hall, it's like a venue of the best food you could ever find anywhere. So when you think about that concept, it could be burgers, it could be Chinese, it could be sushi, it could be, so the food hall is amazing and brings so many different diversified palates.
Very nice. Okay, one more.
One of the things that I feel has not been brought up yet is keeping it family friendly and focusing on children. And I kind of think the farm to table idea would lean towards that. So if we want to bring in all of these people into town, a lot of people are saying there's not enough things for the families to do not enough things for them to do with their children. I think we really need to focus on that.
I don't think anybody could put chicken fingers and fries on their meal, on their menu. No, but that's a good point.
Yeah, thank you.
Very good point. Anybody else? One more, or can we move on?
Let's do the next one.
All right, let's go. Accommodations. We're gonna kind of dive in a little bit further into what some people's already mentioned.
And keep in mind, these are ordered by what was most important to you via how many photo uploads and survey responses were. So this was the 5th ranking theme, but still important.
So what kind of accommodations should be created for visitors? And you know, we're a big component of being a visitor in your own backyard. So most of you here obviously live here. So think about it. What would you like to see here? A staycation. Or what do you want to bring your friends in? Uh-oh, second and third. I feel like we're at night at the races. Who's it gonna be? A couple more minutes and then we're gonna discuss. We don't wanna keep you guys here much longer than 7:30. And we also thank you guys for coming and participating. Great ideas have come out of this tonight. All right, let's talk. Who wants to share first?
What does a boutique hotel mean to you? Do you have examples of things in other cities that you've liked? Experiences that you've had?
Well, I'll chime in. One of the hotels that I really enjoy staying at, it's a chain, it's called The Graduate, and it's a chain, but each location is tailored in the interior decor to whatever city it's in, and it's obviously more of a college theme, so that wouldn't necessarily fit Wheeling, but something that incorporates the local flavor into the design.
Cool. Anybody else want to share?
We have a hand back here.
Great.
Hey, Olivia.
Hey.
I like the boutique idea. I think, 20, 25 rooms, make it really special to get in there. And I think we could do something around that in terms of having each room have a Wheeling theme, kind of like what Alex was talking about. I think that would be really cool. And I think you make it special where people want to be there and you got a booked out list and they can come see Mike over at the bridge and have fun. But I do think the boutique would really hit it off.
Oh, Wheeling themed rooms. That's really cool.
What was other? Anybody choose that as one of their top options? I know it ranked last, but anybody have any other ideas beyond what's on this? Oh, we got two.
Got some hands,
2, 3.
yeah.
All right. Go ahead, Alex. Grab him. I'll grab over. I'll go down here. There's one down here too, right? Oh, right here.
There's a lot of conversation about third spaces and the lack of third spaces in Wheeling, particularly free spaces that people can just go, hang out, and not have to worry about spending a lot of money or buying anything at all. And so I think it would be a great opportunity to have, like we were talking about, viewing platforms and decks like that. And I think that's really, co-working space would be wonderful. Just places where you don't have to buy a coffee to feel like you can sit there for long periods of time.
Well, that's a good point, especially since we hope that this will have a new visitor center. That's the plan.
He's going to go.
Oh, my turn. Hey, me again. Hey, so to Mr. D's point, he's absolutely correct. We are not a vacation town. People do come here. They come here for family. They come here for a convention or something. But if you don't bring bulk people to Wheeling, people are not going to invest in downtown Wheeling because they can't get the revenue in downtown Wheeling. So you need people to come in. I think, whether it's a boutique hotel or a 50 or 100 room hotel, all that helps because we're a pass-through town. Thank God for President Eisenhower put 70 right through Wheeling. It's kept us on the map because we got 20, 30,000 cars going through downtown Wheeling, and people will pull off and they will stay. And when they stay, they have to have something to do. That's what creates the business. When people are here and they need something, businesses will come in to satisfy that need. So whatever that hotel looks like, I think that's important. Aside from the hotel thing, which is not Tipping Point's thing, Tipping Point is doing the visitor center, which is not going to be a hotel. So I think, I just wanted to make this comment off the hotel screen that's up there. Part of the design in my head would be, can you put 8, 10, 12 electric car charging stations at your visitor station? Because that's an hour. People are going to pull off, and apparently, I'm a gas guy, but if you have an electric car, there's an app that comes with your car and on your phone that tells you where all the charging stations are along your route. You're going from Baltimore to Minneapolis or Indianapolis on 70, you're coming right through our town. I've got to charge my car before I get to Columbus or I'm going to run out. That leaves you an hour in downtown Wheeling to go to mug shots, to go walk down to Center Market, come over the bridge. You can do whatever you want, but I think that, having something that drives people to downtown Wheeling as a pass-through, not a vacation. We're not a resort, but eventually, with the hotel coming down and the bridge becoming a tourist attraction, walking, events on the bridge, who knows what's going to happen in 5 to 10 years from now. But for now, we got to drive people to downtown Wheeling. And I think as part of your particular project, Tipping Point, on this visitor center, having something that drives people to downtown Wheeling is really important. Thanks.
Thank you.
I guess when I sit and listen to a lot of these categories, one question that keeps on popping in my mind is, what is the target demographic? That really affects the answers to a lot of these categories. And has the Convention and Visitors Bureau identified a primary demographic target for the project?
What do you guys want the target to be?
I mean, that's really what these community sessions all about, the surveys. I mean, that's not really a decision that I can make. I don't really think anybody in the room can make it because we don't want to leave anything left out there for consideration. I mean, because when this is built and the sustainability of the project has nothing to do with the 30-year-old today, because that 30-year-old could be how old at the time that we still want this to be sustainable and successful. So I guess we have some more conversations about that.
I assume the demographic, since it's a CVB project, would be visitors and bringing new bodies. I mean, and you live in Elm Grove, I don't know if this project really affects you as much as if you live in Columbus and you're coming to visit.
Well, this is
food,
collaboration.
gas, lodging. Food, gas, lodging will bring people. The building could be, there's a lot of great ideas on the building, and a lot of hard work has gone on, and that should be much appreciated by everybody. But I'm thinking CVB project is visitors.
Heads and beds.
It's visitors.
Heads
It's
and beds.
conventions, heads, gas, food, lodging.
Thanks, Mike.
We can drink free coffee at Heritage Port.
In addition to all this building, I'd like to see some green space.
There you go.
Okay, a couple more.
Here you go.
Whereas I think downtown does need a hotel, a giant hotel, as some people are saying. I just don't think that's the spot for a giant hotel. Right there in front of that bridge and blocking that bridge and blocking the view even to the people across from, Bridge Tavern. I always say Bridge and Tavern, I apologize. That's my, what is that Mandela effect thing? But, they've built a beautiful venue that has a lovely view, especially from, their top floors. Mm-hmm. And I would hate to block them from being able to see stuff after all the money they've spent on their project too. Like a really tall hotel, I just don't think, does one need downtown? Yeah, let's put it down near West Banco. Let's not put it right there as you first drive into Wheeling. It would crowd that street something horrible. And it would just block the very thing we're trying to present, which is the gateway into our city and the whole river and the suspension bridge and everything else. A giant hotel, I think, is just a bad idea for right there.
Thanks for sharing. Anybody else? Did you still want
Hotel or a small hotel, even a convention center, or even more shopping downtown. But the space that we're talking about, I envision being a space that people would spend 1 to 2 hours at. It would be their start to an adventure in Wheeling. I think a building that incorporated hotel rooms would be over-encompassing, and I think that we have other uses for that area, mainly in the things that we talked about before, the historic, the lead into the rest of the city. So I would be against any hotel rentals in that space.
Okay. One more? All right.
This is in reference to the hotels and building a giant hotel versus, we have tons of buildings here that are super amazing and beautiful and cool that are former apartment buildings that need some work. And I don't know if there's asbestos in them or what the problem is. I mean, old schools, I've seen places convert an old elementary school into a boutique hotel with restaurants and a cinema, like a dinner cinema. They even had a soaking tub in the old swimming pool that was on the property. So we don't really need to build huge giant Ramadas or Sheratons or Marriotts. We have all these great structures sitting here begging to be saved. I mean, can we put stuff in there that would accommodate people? I mean, who wouldn't want to stay in a cool building with I don't know, that looks like they stepped back into the Victorian era, which was when we were in our heyday. That's it.
Interesting idea.
No, this is a good idea. A lot of cities are redoing that right now. Are redoing their historic buildings. We have time for one more before we do the bridge after party.
Anybody have something they've been itching to share all evening?
One more. This is it.
It's just a brief question. Is it limited, the project, just to that property? You have the Snake Club and you have a couple other buildings there. Any chance of buying them, developing that whole little section?
I'm going to say no to that, but I mean, I think that the fun part of this project, I mean, right now we are in the ideas section to where anything is possible, but I can't speak to that. There's been really no discussion of moving forward with that.
If any of them would love to sell it,
Yeah.
I'll talk to them.
Yeah, sell or maybe, donate money to
Yeah,
them.
you get more.
No.
That's correct, yeah. What we've done is we've done a lot of diligence and geotechnical on the site to analyze the soil and where all the environmental issues are. So a lot of that's going to be informed with how we approach that cleanup in our partnership with the state and working with the Department of Environmental Protection. So there are some technical factors that will drive where we can or can't build. For example, we mentioned the geotechnical report was completed. Bedrock is 86 feet down if we want to have a very heavy load-bearing structure. So,
I don't think we can guarantee everybody in this room. For 150 years, there's been some type of structure blocking the view of the iconic suspension bridge. There will not be any building whatsoever blocking that view in the future. No matter what design we come up with, it's not going to block the suspension bridge. It is the reason that spot is so great. And so I can guarantee you, standing here today, that we will not have a structure in front of that bridge so that you won't be able to see it from Main Street. So that's what we're looking at now. We've seen some preliminary designs. All these ideas are great. I love Jay's theater idea. These are all things that can happen, but we are not going to build a building where the Wheeling is now. It's going to be knocked down, and for the first time in 150 years, you're going to be able to see the bridge.
All right, guys. So as we've mentioned, there is the after party over at the Bridge Tavern. Please look for anybody on the implementation team. and discuss even further your ideas. Also, for future updates on the project, visit wheelinggateway.tippingpointdev.com. And thanks for coming.
Thank you all. Give yourselves a hand.
Yeah, on your way out too, the guys with the light back there, Wheeling Heritage Media, we obviously know that you're here because this project's important to you in some way, and if you want to be documented, talking a little bit about why you're here tonight and what the project means to you, we'd love to hear from you. So go see Dylan and Jonathan on your way out.